Hey everyone, welcome back to Sophomore Citizens. I'm Gigi.
I'm Liesel.
And I'm Lilly.
All right, so for today's check-in, we have the very exciting inauguration to talk about. So at the time of recording, we have not yet seen the inauguration, but by the time that you're listening to this, I assume it will have happened.
Right.
So I thought it'd be nice for us to share some thoughts beforehand, how we're feeling, what we might be worried about. I will also say I'm in a class that's called American Political Rhetoric. So we're looking at mostly post-Reconstruction American political rhetoric. And to be fair, this is post-Reconstruction if you try hard enough, you know. But even still, my professor was excited.
You're talking gibberish to me. I don't know about the Reconstruction. What
that
is
just means post-Civil War.
Reconstruction era.
Okay, I forgot about that.
Sorry,
I blocked it out.
But the point is, you know, this is post Civil War. And my professor is just
it might be pre-Civil War.
I was just about to say,
I
that's
know.
really
but he's excited for us to get to talk about it as a class. Like he thinks, I mean, I love it when stuff like this happens and professors are excited to have us talk about it. And he's just a professor that really praises us well and is so like proud of us, which I just love as a class getting to have that feeling. And especially because we looked at Obama's first inauguration, Lincoln's first inauguration, Lincoln's second inauguration, and he's talked about FDR's inauguration, JFK's inauguration. So like we've already sort of gotten an idea of how these things play out and the different themes that are at play in these speeches. So I think it will be really interesting to get to dissect it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely feeling a little bit on the nervous side about what exactly is going to go down, what this is going to look like. And I just can't believe that in every other inauguration that I have been alive for, like, I have not felt fearful or worried about anything happening. So it is kind of interesting that this time, obviously, we are feeling a little bit nervous. And I think that a lot of people are feeling a little bit nervous about what exactly is going to go down. And I think that that's very directly related to the Capitol situation that happened. But on top of that, I'm just like, how have they been doing these inaugurations outside, open air? Like anyone could just do anything. It feels so vulnerable to me.
The thing is, they obviously have very high security.
Right.
Whether we see that or not, it is happening. And definitely even when they're up on the podium, like you can see some Secret Service and some security for sure. Something interesting that we talked about with Lincoln's second inauguration, John Wilkes Booth was present at his second inauguration. And John Wilkes Booth was like a well-known like actor, performer, like well-respected. So like Lincoln like knew who he was, and he was present at the inauguration. And also basically like during the second inauguration, it was kind of like the end of the Civil War was imminent, and like we knew that the Union was going to win. And so we were talking about the idea that Lincoln probably had reason to be like a little worried for his life at that time.
Yeah.
Obviously he had good reason to be worried for his life at the time. And so we were kind of connecting that back to like Biden, we have reason to be a little worried for him, and also that I think they're gonna really like up security for sure.
And I don't want to say that I'm glad that the Capitol situation happened at all, like definitely not condoning that behavior by any stretch, but I think that like it was a foreshadowing of something much worse that could have happened. And I think that like that was a wake-up call that I think a lot of the security and police and, you know, people who are in charge of that sort of situation like needed to become more aware of. But it was a really scary situation for sure.
I'm feeling definitely very nervous about the inauguration. I know, especially because I'm flying 2 days after. I feel really anxious about that, which is a feeling I've never had before. And every year, like you were saying, G, like when there's been an inauguration, first of all, it's been something that I've been very excited about, and I have always wanted to go to an inauguration. And if COVID were not going on right now, I think this would be a really cool one to go to. But it is the first year where I like feel very, very afraid. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday about like how they're securing the Capitol and like the specifics that are going into this inauguration, and how this year looks nothing like any other year in terms of like the number of security people they've had to employ. DC is essentially on lockdown. It really does feel very, very scary, and I feel very lucky to not live there right now because I just feel like it's a weird vibe.
I was watching an Instagram live from AOC about the Capitol siege, and that she was explaining that she had like a pretty traumatic experience and she wasn't sure if she was like at liberty to speak on it in like specifics, but she was saying that she had reason to fear for her life in a very real way, and she was worried about her location being leaked. She was worried about fellow like members of the House and of Senate like making her location known and all this stuff. And I'm like, obviously I had an understanding of how wild that situation was, like as it was happening in the aftermath, but especially hearing her talk about it, like people wanted her and people like her dead. Like that's wild.
Insane. And like so terrible. But hopefully that happened and the inauguration is going to be a peaceful transfer of power where we can honor tradition. And
well, I mean, it's like it's just not going to be a peaceful transfer of power and it's not going to be a celebration. It's not going to be a celebration of tradition because I'm sorry, but all of the traditions and all of the peace and the transferring is not happening. Like the whole point of the inauguration is the passing of the torch. And, political enemies have handed the presidency to one another. And that has happened in a seamless way where both parties are present. And we cannot say that for this year. So in my opinion, it's barely even, it's going to be so non-traditional. At the end of the day, like this is not going to be a conventional inauguration. This is not going to be the typical passing of the torch. And that's something that has been happening for decades upon decades, that political enemies have come together for one day and passed the torch peacefully. And the fact that our current president is refusing to attend this event, it is just going to be different, and like hopefully it is peaceful and it's a good celebration, but I think it's going to be far from traditional. We are very hopeful that the inauguration will be a beautiful, wonderful, peaceful day. We're skeptical, but we're hoping for the best, expecting the worst. God bless America. God bless Joe Biden. Let's go.
Okay, so our topic for today.
Also, sidebar to everyone listening out there, we are actually filming and recording today's episode in the beautiful outdoors today in the beautiful fresh air. It's gorgeous in LA today, and so you might hear some birds chirping or some ambient background noise, and we apologize for that. Next episode we will be back to our typical audio perfection, so we are sorry, and we hope that you enjoy this episode regardless.
Thank you very much for that, Liesel. So let's hop right into today's theme for this episode, which is all about names. So obviously, names. We've all got them. We all like them or don't like them. So I figure we talk about general thoughts and feelings towards our own names in general, and then we're going to play a fun tournament-style game to find our favorite names.
Yes.
And, maybe you have a list in your phone of names that you might want to name future children, maybe names for future pets, whatever it might be. And this is a fun way for us to chit chat about this topic and to share with you maybe some fresh ideas for various names.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we can start out by talking a little bit about our names and how we feel about them. Lily, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, so I don't particularly love my name. I don't.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Oh, wow.
I don't hate my name. When I was younger, I fully was ready to embark on the name change journey. I remember asking my mom, being like, Mom, like legally, like, how do I not be Lily anymore? And I think I wanted my name to be Isabel. There was also a phase where I wanted my name to be Ella. I obviously did not legally change my name, and I have grown to like it much more. I will say my favorite thing about my name is that I think it is one of the few names that works in any stage of life. So like, I think Lily as a baby makes sense. Lily as a little kid makes sense. Adult Lily makes sense. And Grandma Lily makes sense. And I feel very proud of that. So overall, my name is and I don't legally want to change it anymore.
Lily, I would agree that your name does work for all stages of life, but if I had to choose the one that it makes least sense to me is adulthood.
I agree.
And I think that's just because generationally, we don't have that many people born in like 60s, 70s, 80s who are currently adults named Lily. But I am sure that by the time we're real adults, it'll be completely fine and normal and wonderful.
Yeah, totally. I do think that is an important consideration to bring up. Like,
because you'll have your name for your entire life.
Yeah, when you're naming a human, like, I think that a lot of people make the mistake of either giving a baby to adult of a name or giving a baby to baby of a name. And then you're just like, how is that going to function moving forward? But I honestly think, like, at the end of the day, there's only a few select names that are really like that. And I think that the vast majority of names can carry through most stages of life with no real issue.
Totally.
But Lily, do you want to also mention like how your parents came about the name Lily or any alternatives that they were thinking of?
Yeah, I would love to do both. So I am very proud to be named after my grandmother. Her name was Linda, but my parents were so kind and did not give me that name. Thank you, parents.
Baby Linda.
Yeah. God bless Cindy and Glenn for not doing that. But they stuck with the L, and I have the same initials as her. So my middle name starts with an M, and obviously my last name is my last name because she used her initials a lot, and that was a big thing. And I feel very proud to be named after her, but in a more modern way. Another notable thing about my name is that it's spelled with 2 L's in the middle, not 1, which I think is less popular, but I think some people maybe think that's the more popular way, which my parents did because my dad, as I just mentioned, is named Glenn, and his name is with 2 N's, which is the less traditional way of doing it. So my mom, when they knew that they wanted to name me Lily, but they didn't know how they wanted to spell it, in the hospital was like, okay, Glenn's name is with 2 N's, let's make Lily with 2 L's. And I definitely like Lily with 2 L's more than Lily with 1 L. I think it looks prettier.
Yeah, it has better balance to me.
Yeah. And like I wear my name on my necklace because I think it looks really nice. Like when you write it out in cursive, there's lots of loops. It's visually pleasing. I also have a theory that Lilies with 1 L just like kind of suck. Like there's a little rivalry going on, and all my Lilies with 2 L's, we win. And if I were a boy, I would have the beautiful name of Lincoln, sticking with the L. So thank you again. I don't know, the birthing gods for making me a girl, because I don't think Lincoln would have gone over too well. But did I answer all the questions?
Yeah, I think so. I think Lincoln is kind of a cool name. Like, it's not the worst.
I'm happy you're not
Lincoln. I'm happy you're not Lincoln.
Yeah, and like the nickname for that would be Link, which makes me kind of uncomfortable. Almost like Hairspray, like that would be cool, but like Link, no. And another thing that I will just say that I like about my name is it does lend itself nicely to fun nicknames. Obviously, Lil is that's the clearest one, and I love when people call me that because it just like feels like we're BFFs, so casual. But my family calls me Lily Bell, and then like that can just like go in a bunch of directions. So I like that it's very versatile in the nickname world.
Does Cameron have any nicknames for you?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Like sometimes he'll call me like mean names.
Right. I asked because I know when you say my family calls me Lily Bell, like Cameron would literally never call you Lily Bell. Like I hear your mom saying that, obviously.
Every other member of my family, I would bet that I'm like in their phone as Lily Bell. Like there are family members where I've never heard them call me Lily.
Like who?
Like my aunts and uncles.
Huh. That seems like a lot of extra effort to put in every time.
Yeah,
like they're like, Lily Bell, hand that to me.
It's the opposite of a nickname.
Does family use Lil?
Yeah.
I feel like.
But like people I don't even know that well use Lil.
No, I know. The same thing happens with Gigi. Like people will very quickly and automatically and seamlessly go to Gigi.
Right. But do you like that?
Yeah.
Because I love it. I like whenever people call me that, like it's like, oh my gosh, we're like best friends. Like it is kind of a fun, happy thing.
But the only reason that like I would say that sometimes it does bother me when people take a little too much freedom with what they choose to call me, and I'm like, that's not approved. But Gigi and similarly Lil, I feel like are approved. Anyone, if you want to go there, be my guest.
Right.
Yes.
But like, if someone wants to try and call me Gilia, which we can get into that, if I didn't approve it, like, don't call me that.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the perfect segue. Gigi, do you want to
Okay,
talk about
sure.
your name?
So my name is Gilia, which is often mistaken for Giglia or Giglia for those of us who have not learned the Italian language. And you know, I like my name a lot. Like, I think Gilia is a cool name. I do like having a unique name. The fact that it gets mispronounced all the time is just comes with it. Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. I don't necessarily like or dislike that aspect of my name, but I don't feel like Gilia really.
Right.
Like that. I feel like Gigi more than anything, especially because I've been going by Gigi since I was like 3 or 4,
Yeah.
you know? So, and I mean, I think I have maybe even mentioned this on the podcast before, that I tried to go back to Gilia when I went to kindergarten, because I was like, I'm a big kid now, like, it's time to switch things up. And it's even like remarkable to me that my 5-year-old brain was like, I have an opportunity here to be a new
Right.
person.
Oh,
and
no,
like,
totally.
I'm gonna take it.
Totally.
And then I very quickly switched back to Gigi because I was like, I just don't really mess with this Gilia business. And it's just so much easier for everyone. Like, it feels more like me. And like I said, Gigi is a natural progression that I'm totally here for and welcome it with open arms.
And I think it's important to point out also that like Gilia is an Italian name, but it's not even a common Italian name.
Right.
Like, it's a unique name in Italy. And it is actually like sort of the Italian version of Lily.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Lily,
Yeah.
I've definitely told you that
Yeah.
it's a water lily.
That's the meaning.
Oh, you have told me that. But
And
when Liesel put it like that, that
Yeah,
felt
it sounded,
novel and new.
yeah.
And it's actually like the home flower of Florence.
Right.
Like, it's like
Which
the
feels
symbol
special.
of Florence, which is very special as well. So it's a really beautiful, like, cool name. And I think that especially when people know how to pronounce it in Italian, it sounds really beautiful. But I just wanted to point out that whole situation.
And I do usually, whenever I tell people my full name, like, they typically have a positive reaction of like, oh, that's such a beautiful name, or
Yeah.
like, I've never heard that before, or
Yeah.
whatever. And then usually people of a certain age, when I tell them about Gigi, will go, oh, Gigi the movie, like,
Yeah,
have you
yeah.
seen it? And I'm like, no, I have
Maybe
not
we
seen
should
it.
watch it.
No, I think we should watch it.
Yeah.
This same professor that I was mentioning earlier is like literally mentioned it to me multiple times, being like, Gigi, have you watched the movie? Like, Gigi has a great soundtrack. Like, it's a really cute movie. Like, you should watch it. And I'm like, yes, I'll get around to it. Because especially now that Liesel and I recently watched Roman Holiday, which is an Audrey Hepburn movie. And Gigi, the movie, has very similar vibes. It's like an old-timey rom-com, which I, for a long time, have had a very strong aversion to. But Roman Holiday has kind of opened my heart to it.
Yeah.
And especially, like, I think before, when people would tell me about it, I'd just be like, I don't really care. Like,
Right.
It's
irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. But like, the more that I think about it, it has my name. Like, I do kind of care about that.
Yeah.
So I think it is definitely worth giving a watch, especially because it's an old-timey movie in color, which I think will be cool to watch.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's just a comment, which is that you are someone who I think owns your name more than anyone I know. Like, fits your name in a way that few other people, I feel like, really embodies their title.
I'm so happy to hear that. So my other possible names, if I had been a boy, I'm pretty sure I was supposed to be Griffin or Grant.
Okay.
Grant. But you know, I don't know. Like, our mother is convinced that she knew she was having a daughter and that she made it happen.
We can get into that maybe in another episode.
Sure, fine. So I don't think there really was ever a time where they were seriously considering boy names, but I think that's what I've been told when I've asked that question. Then the other girl name that was in play was Darby, which I'm really glad I'm not Darby, but I would have, like, I do think I would have taken it on and been like, yeah, I'm Darby. And I think instead of going Gigi, I might have gone BB with Darby.
Oh.
So it's
funny to think of that parallel universe where you're BB instead of Gigi.
I know, but that's where my mind goes.
Yeah.
And one thing I do like about Darby is, like, it's easy to pronounce. It's not a name that everyone has, but like, it's not like that weird. I also think, I don't know if Darcy was in the mix,
right?
But I wouldn't hate that.
I like Darcy. Yeah. Okay, well, beautiful. So my name obviously is Liesel, which is, you know, quite a unique name, I would say. It is of German or origin. I've been told, I guess. And the funny thing though is like when I talk to German people about my name and I say like my name is Liesel, like what does that mean to you? Like, do you know Liesels? They often say like that's like a grandma name.
Which totally tracks given Liesel, the oldest daughter in Sound of Music.
Right,
Like
exactly.
the timing of that, she would probably be a grandma now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's probably true. So
she would be
at
the
least,
1940s.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, if not
deceased. Love you, Liesel. But so that's obviously like probably the biggest connection that people have to my name is The Sound of Music. And I love that connection. I love that movie. I love the character. Like I've always really enjoyed that as a connection. But when I was younger, I had sort of kind of learned to utilize that as like a, oh yeah, my name is Liesel, like in The Sound of Music, because I thought that was like pretty common knowledge that people knew The Sound of Music.
I do think it is.
Yeah,
like,
but then
it totally is.
Yeah, when I was in 6th grade volleyball, we had this volleyball coach who, I'm not gonna lie, in hindsight, like I really do feel like was gay. Which, okay, we shouldn't stereotype here, but like I would assume.
Why is this relevant to the story?
Listen, I would assume that like, you know, gay men maybe would have a better understanding of musicals than a straight man. Okay,
Musical
but so
theater.
I think that like my 6th grade self picked up on that vibe, and I was like, I feel like he would know The Sound of Music. So he was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Liesel." And he goes, "What?" And I go, "Liesel, like The Sound of Music." And he goes, "What?" And I go, "The Sound of Music." He's like, "I don't know what that is."
You know, so listen, I feel like I've heard this happen or watched this happen because I'll also, if people ask me like, oh, what's your sister's name or whatever, I'll say that. And if they're confused, I'll say Sound of Music. And I would say most of the time it's a, oh yeah, of course.
Then people
and
get
then
it.
Some people are like, what?
Yeah. So that's the thing. I've had to phase that out because after 6th grade,
I don't think you have to phase it out necessarily.
No, but it just emotionally scarred me because like I was in volleyball tryouts, like already nervous. I'm a 6th grader and I'm just trying to like, you know, say my name. And I'm like, God almighty, like, why did you give me this name that's difficult for people to understand? And then I tried to explain it and he just did not get it. So I typically just don't go that route. And like, if people are confused by my name, I'll just continue to repeat it. Liesel, it's Liesel. My name's Liesel. And if they have any other questions, then I'll feel free to answer them. But like, that's all I can say. I also, like, when I was really young, I looked up my name and how common it is. And I found out that the name Lieselot with an O-T-T
is this international or US?
International is more common internationally than Liesel.
It's funny though, because I've never encountered another Gilia in my life. With the exception of the Gilia who lives in Nicaragua, who is named after me, who I've not interacted with, but you know, if we want to do some callback to a previous episode where we mentioned this, but I have met several Liesels or Liesels. Like,
so have
I know of at least 2 right now, I think, other than you.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not saying that makes it a common name, but like I've literally never come near another Gilia in my life.
Totally. But like you have the Gigi of it all. So obviously there's plenty of Gigis out there. But so for me, like I would say the vast majority of people are a little confused or thrown off by my name. And I've definitely gotten Liesel a lot and gotten introduced to others as Liesel. And then I have to like correct everyone involved, which is horrible. But you know, I like my name. I like that I don't have a name that like just everyone has. And I think that, you know, it's okay. Like I've just kind of come to terms with it, but I don't think it has a very feminine sound to it or like, it just doesn't sound like a name to me sometimes. Like I'll be thinking about my name and I'll just be like Liesel. Like that just does not sound like a girl's name at all. It just sounds like an object or like a thing.
Sure.
So I don't know, that element as well. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't like that my name has no nicknames. Like I really struggle in the nickname game, and some people call me Lee or Lise, which I don't hate. Like it's fine, but I don't love it. One other thing I was going to say is what I was maybe almost named was I was almost Cassandra, which I am not.
I thought you were almost Callie.
Well, that was the other one. Cassandra and then Cali, C-A-L-I. When I asked my mom why Cali, she said like California.
No,
Yes,
no,
she
no,
wanted
no.
to name
I
me
had no
Cali
idea.
like California, C-A-L-I.
I would have been really okay with Cali, C-A-L-L-I-E. Exactly.
But C-A-L-I, like, and especially because I was born in Washington, D.C., and then we moved to California, like, it would have been weird if I showed up and I was like, I'm Cali, like, C-A-L-I.
That's also, like, really, like, anyone who's from California knows that it's,
you don't call it that.
like, it's, you are from a different state if you say, oh, Cali.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
this is like shorthand. Like at school in Wisconsin, when I say California and someone responds like, "Oh, you're from Cali," I immediately am like, "You are a Midwestern weirdo."
Yeah, no, it's not even just Midwestern though. Like, there's
Yes.
even one person in specific that I can think of at Cal Poly who I think he's from Washington or something, and we'll be like, "Oh, Cali," and
Yeah.
it's like,
No.
oh,
Yeah. So that, I almost was that.
right. And
Yeah.
but anyway, I'm glad you're not that. I also don't really like Cassandra
No,
or
I don't like that
Cassandra,
either, but, like,
at all.
Okay, Cali, C-A-L-L-I-E, like, I could have been that, or Cassie, like, that's fine.
Yeah,
That's
Cassie's
cute.
cute.
Yeah,
I like
like,
that.
I could have dealt with that.
Cassandra has a multitude of nicknames. Like we could get
Yeah,
a
you
million.
could go
different-
Sandy.
Sandy, like, I could have gone all
Draw.
over the place, yeah. But I'm truly on the hunt for a nickname. So if anyone out there, like, has any ideas for me, and, like, just, I don't know, something that will really catch on,
Okay, well,
feel
Liesel,
free to reach out.
here's the thing: is that in order for it to catch on, you just have to do it. And we've talked about
No, but
this
I'm
before.
not
I
looking
think
to change my name, but
No,
I'm
of course
looking
you're
for
not. No,
others to call
but-
me cute names.
no, but Liesel, like, it's the question of: do you want a Lil? Like, Lily's name is Lilly, but you could be a cute nickname Lil.
Yeah.
Or do you want a Julia to Gigi?
No,
like,
no. I want a Lil.
Okay.
Yeah, I want just like cute things for people to call me.
Okay, because my mind goes two places. One is Lise or Lise, which
Yeah.
we already have put out there.
Yeah. I would love for more people to call me that, honestly.
Okay.
But just like casually, like not
Okay,
like all the time.
The other one that comes to mind, which you might think is kind of absurd, but it's actually not that absurd, is Selly.
Yeah, oh my god, people could start calling me that.
Okay, because on Love Island US, the most recent season, one of the girls, her name was Selly.
Yeah.
And like it at first I was kind of like, Selly? And her name is spelled Cely, Selly.
I don't like that.
I know, it's definitely like it's a little off-putting at first,
Right.
but the more that I like warmed up to it, the more I was like, oh, Selly, like that's kind of
like
cute.
if people started calling me Sally, like I would be totally down for that.
Yeah, no, I think that is cute, but that spelling is ugly. But
Yeah.
like Sellie, which is how I see you spelling it.
yeah.
I don't know when you'd be writing it out, like on your job
Yeah.
applications
Yeah.
or anything, but Selly is cute.
The only thing is I don't think I would start calling you Selly.
Just try.
Okay, fine. I'll try. But that is kind of something that I think is good to bring up, is like nicknames sometimes, like, you can't force them.
No,
like they have to kind of happen. And a lot of people are of the mindset that you can't choose your own nickname.
No,
like
I
it
know,
has
but
to
that's
come to
that's
you.
why I'm inviting
But-
the people and
well,
my friends and family.
That's
to...
why I'm out here brainstorming.
Yeah, good work,
Selly.
good work. And that's the thing. I feel like I call everyone that I know a nickname.
Mhm.
Like everyone gets some sort of nickname, and I just never get any of that back. So both of you, like, just try.
Okay,
Just try
Selly.
try different things out. L.
Oh,
You can
yeah,
even
you
call
could
me.
totally
You can
be
call me
L.
Lala if you want.
No, I don't like that.
That doesn't flow naturally. But
Okay, but
I will
we'll
try
but
with
we'll
the
keep
nicknames.
working on
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Something I did want to bring up, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but I saw a TikTok that really like resonated with me, and she similarly had a hard time explaining it. I'm going to have a hard time explaining it, and we'll just see if you guys are getting what me and this TikToker are getting
Oh
at,
wow. Okay.
of like how weird it is that like we have names.
Yeah.
And that we call each other them.
Mhm.
And that like if we're in conversation, like talking about other people, we use that name and it brings up that person in your mind.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that other people do that about me, it is a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Yes.
I completely agree. I
Okay.
completely understand and I completely agree. And
Okay.
I feel like that was such a perfect
Wow.
sentiment that like I don't even have any commentary.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's weird. I agree.
It's weird, period.
And it's one of those things where like, okay, yes, pretty much with anything, if you go, oh, that's so weird that we do that, like it can pretty easily be weird. But I feel like with names, and when you think about it for even just a second, you're like, how like weird that we've created this,
Yeah.
as like your name is a symbol for you as a
Yeah.
person, just
And
to
it's not
indicate
even-
you.
It's not even completely unique to you in
No.
most cases.
Yeah.
It's something that like someone else also has that
Well,
as their identifier.
And
you know?
also, like, I mean, to be honest, I don't have any actual knowledge on this, but for example, like I know in certain languages or certain like groups of people, they don't use left and right, they'll use like north, south, east, west.
Mhm.
And so like they won't, like their whole concept of space and like their spatial awareness is completely different from how we think of space, because we think of like left, right,
Right.
Mhm.
and they'll or like, and part of this tribe that I'm talking about specifically, like instead of asking like how are you or like hi as a greeting, it's like where are you headed.
Right.
Oh.
And when you say where you're headed, you'll be like, oh, I'm headed northeast or whatever.
Mhm.
And like that's how you greet each other, which is obviously like it's interesting to us, like that's completely foreign to us. And I feel like there must, at somewhere in the history of humankind, people have, instead of using names, like used some other way to identify people.
Totally.
Yes.
And like, you know, linguistics in general, I think like whenever we're talking about words, and like names are like the ultimate form of words, in my opinion, like, you know, the words shape the thing and the thing shapes the word. Like
Right.
it has this unique inverse relationship where the way that we talk about things shapes the way that we feel about them, and the way that we feel about them shapes the way that we talk about them as
Right.
well. So it's like this cycle. And I think that like people can really understand that on the level of names, because it's like if someone has a certain name, you know, you probably have an association with that name. You have
attach
other
meaning to
other
it.
people that you recall based on that name. Like recently Gigi was bringing up the name Ozzy, and I was like, no, because it's so Ozzy Osbourne. Like I just see that man in my head, and I just can't detach that from Ozzy. So I don't think Ozzy is a cute name in any way, because I just think of this old man with this big black hair. Like it just
It
doesn't
also
work.
funny, like with Ozzy specifically, when I see it or think of it as Ozzy, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. Whereas when I think of it as Aussie,
Mhm.
I'm a little bit more like, oh, like that's not a name, like that's not cute. That's just like, oh, Ozzy, you know?
That's something that I've always thought about. If I were a teacher, I would never be able to name my child because I would have associations to every name. And like you definitely had a Rachel in your 4th grade class that sucked. So like then you can't name that. Like go through all the names and the association is so bizarre.
Yeah, definitely. And I also have had the experience too where like I meet someone and I don't really like love their name, but then I get to know them and then I'm like, oh, their name is actually like really nice, and like that's a good name because that person has like worked it up. So I also hope that like whenever I interact with other Liesels, I hope that they're bringing up our breed, you know, and like holding our name in high esteem. So like when Gigi tells me like, oh, there's this, you know, girl at school named Liesel, and I'm like, is she cool? And Gigi's like, she's pretty good. I'm glad, because I'm glad that my name is being brought up.
Right, of course. So if we're ready now, I think it's time that we do our tournament style name game.
Unless any of us want to share any of our favorite names before we...
See, the thing for me is that, like, yes, I have the list in my phone, and yes, I'm like constantly kind of thinking about names that I like, don't like, just taking stock of how I'm feeling about certain names. But it is so subject to change. Like, I think even my favorite name 5 years ago, I probably don't like at all now.
Oh, definitely.
Which is really important to consider, obviously, when naming a child, because as we've previously mentioned, they will have this name forever. But I feel like I'll give you some general characteristics of what I like in names, because I feel like that doesn't tend to change. I definitely like names that are not super common, names that are relatively easy to pronounce and spell, but still like, you know, unique in some way or evoke some kind of feeling, if you will.
Totally.
And so I feel like most of the names that I like definitely have kind of a fun, cutesy vibe. But again, factoring in baby, teen, adult, grandma, or grandpa, you know?
Totally.
Most of the names I like, other people hate. So I would say that's the most common characteristic.
Do you want to share some highlights from your list? Because I know you have,
Yeah.
or maybe I can look at your list and I can share the ones that I think are the
I
most
know.
out there.
I'll just go right off the bat. One that typically gets a lot of hate from Lily's list is Emelina.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I made it up. I fully concocted that on my own.
See, listen, I don't hate
I don't hate
Emelina that much. It just reminds me of Semolina.
Mm.
So that doesn't really sit well.
Okay, I'll read by highlights. I think you mean lowlights. So I from the feedback I have gotten. So in addition to Emelina, people really don't like Clementine.
That I don't have any aversion to that.
Okay, people.
Do you know if the people that are saying they don't like that are from LA or not from LA? I asked because I feel like people from LA would be more okay with Clementine.
I honestly think maybe they're not from LA. That's kind of funny that you asked that, but I don't know for sure. But yes, maybe you're right.
Something about I genuinely feel like, first of all, there's a little restaurant in LA called Clementine that I think most people have a positive association with, and then we also went to middle school with a girl named Clementine.
Oh.
And so I just feel like there's more of a familiarity with it that we're not like totally taken aback, whereas other people might be like, what the F is that?
Yeah. Well, my least favorite part about Clementine is that the nickname it naturally lends itself to is Clem, which literally sounds like phlegm, and that's disgusting. So I don't think I would actually name a child that, but like, I think that'd be really cute for an animal, and like, I don't hate it at all. Like, it's on the list for a reason. People don't like Valentina at all, but I think that's really pretty.
I think Valentina is very pretty, but I don't think it's your daughter's name because
I've gotten that comment before.
Yeah, no, I agree, Liesel. And see, this is another thing to factor in is like, you have to think about your, like, you know, obviously when we are pregnant women ready to give birth, like then we will be having this conversation for real. But like, you know, what is your, like Lily's daughter, is she Valentina?
And like I'm sorry,
maybe.
Obviously your daughter's probably not going to have your last name, but like Valentina Zoller, for example, would not really be.
Well, and it does matter what your husband's name is and what his last name is and any other children that you have, because Valentina, it could play really nicely off of other names, or it could be kind of a stinker.
And that actually goes into one of my biggest pet peeves with names is I don't like when people name multiple kids too similarly.
I
think that like siblings should have their own first letter, ideally, shouldn't end in the same like rhyming scheme. Like when you have twins and you name them like Katrina and Sabrina, like it's not my favorite thing. And I'm sorry if that's your name situation, and I think for any names that we do happen to dislike, it's no personal offense, it's just personal preference.
Liesel, I completely agree. I really don't like when there's like big families and it's like, okay, we're gonna name all the children something starting with a Juliet, Jack, Jason.
The only family that's allowed to do that is the Kardashians.
Yes.
I thought you were gonna say the Duggars.
Them too. Wait, they're all J's?
Yeah.
That shit's weird.
I don't like it. So just to conclude, the other names that people typically don't like, Estelle. I've been told that sounds like
that is
Lily.
Grandma.
Lily.
That speaking of names that just
you cannot have a baby Estelle.
Yeah.
For boys, Sterling, but with the nickname Sting. I've been told that's horrible.
I don't like the nickname Sting. And I don't love Sterling.
It just feels so millennial parent. And like, Lily, you're not a millennial parent.
Jax, people don't like.
I don't hate that.
I don't love it.
People really don't like Duke. That one, I've gotten hate for my
I like Duke.
No, I don't think I would like Duke the person, is the thing.
It's like Duke
Orsino. It is a little douchey.
Yeah.
It's like Duke Orsino. That's where the name was born.
Uh-huh.
Anyone who doesn't understand that reference. No, I don't like that. I do know a girl named Channing.
I know a girl named Channing.
And I think it's pretty for a girl, but I don't like it for a boy, which I don't know if that's
I don't really want ing. Like ing in a name
is a word.
is a little off-putting.
Yeah. Okay, for a girl, I really like Eden. I like Sloane, Isla, Esme. I really like Karina. It means cute in Italian, and I think that's so cute. I like Ruby. I like Maeve. I've recently added Colette, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. And I also like Frida, and I also added Carmelina.
Like the street?
Like the street, which I think is kind of cute.
I just think of the street.
And for boys, I have Finn and Ren. Neither of those I'm like...
I like Finn.
I'm like okay with both of them. Like they're kind of fine. And then I also have a slightly unique one, which is Alden, which is a last name of one of our ancestors. And I've always just thought that's such a cool name. Like Alden.
I know 3 boys named Alden.
3?
3?
Mm-hmm.
I know one of the ones you're talking about. I can't believe you know 3. Okay, so I have quite a long list because I'm really just like accumulating a long list so that when the time comes, like I'll have a hefty list to work from.
Yeah.
One of the ones that I feel strongly about is Foster for a boy, and that's again in appreciation of my mom's side of the family. Like that's her maiden name.
Yeah. And I think Foster is super strong.
It's super strong, and I think it's a cool first name. Liesel and I do like surname as first name, which is last name as first name.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just feel like it's relatively easy to like know what it is, spell it, everything. But it's not a super common first name. I just think it's a cool name. Then so, like I'll also be sharing my more controversial ones. So a name that Liesel and I sometimes watch this YouTuber who does baby names, and she is definitely someone who oftentimes suggests some pretty eclectic choices. One of them is Romilly, which is Romilly. So it's like Lily's name, but Romilly.
I really like it.
I don't like that.
But it's with the nickname Romy, which I think.
That's cute.
Thank you.
I feel like I went on like a loop-de-loop roller coaster. Romilly.
Yeah.
That's what I think of.
I love Romy. I think Romy's so cool.
That's cute though.
I like Romy, and I like Romilly as the full name.
Yeah. I like it.
Then another one would be Jones as first name. Anderson, but with the nickname Sonny, Sonny, for a boy. I have a new like for the name Topanga for a girl.
No. I do not like that.
Okay, obviously this is from Boy Meets World, and is also a place in LA or outside of LA. And if I didn't dislike the place in LA, I think I would like this name a lot more. No shade to Topanga, but it's not my favorite place to hang out. So that's the only reason I don't like it. Like I like the way it sounds. Like I think it sounds nice, but
I just also there's something about the way that it looks and the sounds that I like.
Yeah.
Another one that I think is controversial is Honey for a first name for a girl.
No, I think that's kind of mean to them. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think I would ever actually name my child that, but I think it'd be sweet to have.
I think it's adorable for a dog.
Yeah,
and like I think it'd be cute for the relationship that you and your kid would have. But like, imagine her in like a screaming match with her boyfriend, breaking up. Honey, doesn't work.
Okay.
Okay. So now we will move on to our tournament. The way that this is going to work is we're going to go through the top 25 baby names from the year 2020, and we're going to do it tournament style. So I'm going to give 2 names, and we're each going to say which one we like more, and we're going to keep our favorite. So our favorite is always going to win round after round.
And our favorite will continue to battle
new ones, and then you continue to see who gets knocked out up until we get to our number 1 favorite from the list of 2020
and that means that we could all reasonably have the same favorite, or we could all 3 have different favorites.
Okay, and starting with girls, we're gonna do Chloe versus Gianna. I like Chloe better.
I feel like Gianna.
I'm torn on this one because I don't like either, but I'll go with Gianna.
Okay. Now we have Ella. I think Ella wins out of those.
Ella wins.
That's on my list.
Okay, next is Lily with 1 L.
No.
I would say Ella.
Ella beats Lily with 1 L.
Then next is Harper. I think Harper wins.
I say Ella.
I think Harper wins.
Then is Evelyn. I think Harper wins.
Ella.
Harper.
Okay, now we have Harper or Ella versus Avery. I do like Avery. I think Avery is my...
This is an interesting one because Avery is one of my top favorite boy names, but I don't like it on a girl, so I'm going to stick with Ella.
Okay.
I'm going to stick with Harper.
Okay. Oh, wow. I can't believe we're diverging so much already. Okay, now we have those ones versus Luna.
Ella.
I like Luna, but I'm kind of over it. Like, I feel like I liked it like 5 years ago.
I'm going to stay with Harper.
I'm going to stay with Avery. Now we have Everly.
hate. We don't even need to say it. We hate
Yeah,
it.
we
I
don't
don't
agree.
like it, but I randomly have come across a lot of people named Everly recently.
It's not my
I
favorite.
particularly don't like when it's Leigh.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
don't come
definitely
near me
not.
with
Like
that.
that
Definitely not.
YouTube family.
Right. Next up is Mila, which I actually
That
really
wins.
like Mila. So
That
I think
wins
that
for me.
wins for
I'm
me.
staying with Ella.
Okay, wow. Next is Eliana. No. Next is Charlotte. I
Oh,
do
I
really
like
like
that.
Charlotte, but I think I like Mila a little bit more.
I'm sticking with Mila.
Maybe I'll go to Charlotte.
Okay, fun. Next up is Camilla, which I do like. Recently, Camilla Parker Bowles has come into my mind, so I don't know, but I think I'm going to stick with Mila.
I really like Camilla, but I feel like if I were naming a child that I'm birthing right now, I'd name them Charlotte over Camilla. So
Okay.
I'm going to
stick
stay
that.
with Mila.
Okay, great. Next, we have Zoe. It's fine,
That
but
doesn't beat out.
You can't have Zoe Zoller. Like, it just couldn't happen, so I'll stick with Charlotte.
next we have Layla. That doesn't do
I
anything
love
for me.
the name Lila, but
Yeah, I like
Layla's
Lila a lot
different.
better than Layla. Next is Mia.
That doesn't.
No.
That doesn't do anything for me. It's a nice name, but next is Amelia, which I do like that name, but I do like Mila slightly more.
You know, just for fun, I'm going to switch to Amelia.
Okay, great.
this is a perfect example of association because I really like the name Amelia, but I just think of Amelia Bedelia, so I'm sticking with Charlotte.
Okay, cool. Next is Alaya, which I'm actually really surprised that it is number 8 on this list. I don't know how accurate this list is, but
I don't think that's how that's pronounced. I think it's
Aaliyah, sorry.
I'm staying with Charlotte.
I'm staying with Amelia.
And I'm on Mila. Next up is Aria, which
doesn't-
I do like Aria, but it doesn't beat out. Next up is Isabella,
Boring.
just a little too boring.
Yeah.
Sorry. Next is Ava,
No.
boring.
I do like that name, though.
Yeah.
Next is Emma.
Super boring.
It's
boring.
very boring, but I do think it's a really nice name. If I didn't hear it all the time, I would switch.
I
but
feel
I'm
like
gonna stay.
Emma is one of the most popular girl names of our general age.
I agree. Riley.
Mm,
I like it, but it doesn't.
I like it for a boy, but I
Mhm.
don't like it for a girl.
Next is Olivia.
That's a nice name, but again, it's not my winner.
And last is Sophia. So I ended up with Mila. You ended up with
Amelia.
And I ended up with Charlotte.
yes. Okay, but I think we got some good ones in there. Like I really liked Avery. I really liked Harper. There were some good ones in there. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think the 2020 babies are gonna have some cute names. Now we will do boys.
And these are the top 25 2020 names in the US.
Yes, in the US only.
Okay.
Okay, next. First up we have Daniel versus Levi.
Levi.
I like Levi.
I like Levi.
I think Levi is cool. Levi versus Alexander.
Levi.
Yep. Next, Luca. I do actually like Luca. Our dad's name is Luke, so like I would never choose that name, but I like Luca.
I also like Luca, but I'm gonna stick with Levi.
Okay. We're all still on Levi. Next is Leo.
I do really like that name. Also.
I think I like Leo better than Levi personally.
I agree. I'm Leo.
We're all switching.
Okay, great. Next is Logan.
No.
Benjamin. I think Benjamin's a classic name, but like I would never choose it.
I do think it's a classic name. I like Ben. I like Benji. I like Benjamin. Like
Benny.
I like it across the board. So you know what? Just for fun, I'll switch to Benjamin.
Okay, cool. And next up is Michael. No.
Boring.
Next is James. I do like James.
I do
James is
also
a
like that
very
name.
strong name, and I feel like James is good looking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think like James feels refined. He feels sophisticated, and he feels like a cute kid, a handsome adult, and like a cool grandpa.
How do you girls feel about Jimmy? That was a nickname.
No.
I don't like Jimmy.
Yeah, so you have to keep it James and like really
Yeah.
fight that urge to go Jimmy. Okay,
I'm
so
going James.
I'm at Leo. You're
James.
James. You're
I'll stick with Benjamin
You're
because
Benjamin.
because I do feel strongly about that name.
okay. Next up we have Sebastian.
I have such mixed feelings. I feel like a Sebastian is like if the child arrives, it is birthed,
Yeah.
and you can look at it and go, Sebastian,
Yeah.
then go for it.
Yeah.
But I don't think every child or every person could be Sebastian
Yeah.
comfortably. Do you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair. But I do like that name a lot.
Yeah.
It is a cool name.
Like I think I'm gonna stay with James, but like lots of love for Sebastian. Like maybe James's middle name can be Sebastian.
James Sebastian.
And I there's something about the sounds and the spelling of Sebastian that I like.
Yeah.
It feels
a cool name.
powerful.
Very powerful. Next is Ethan.
I love that name. I'll switch to that.
Okay. I like Ethan, but I don't love it.
I like Ethan, but it doesn't
blow me away.
blow me away.
Next up is Jaden. which I'm not a
No,
fan of.
That doesn't
No,
do
I
anything.
don't like that at all. Okay, next is Carter. I kind of like
That's
Carter.
cute.
I think I'm going to switch to Carter.
I like Carter, and I think I will also switch to Carter.
I'll stay at Ethan, but I really do like that.
I think Carter is just a good name.
Yeah, it's a
just
good name.
Standard.
2020 boy names are very strong.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I think boy names in general, like, I don't have as strong feelings.
I
about
would
them.
agree.
I'm
I
very
can
sorry.
I can agree that boy names I just don't feel as positively or as negatively about, but I just don't think that there's nearly as much like
Fun that you can have with
well
them.
I don't want to say that, but I feel like there is slightly less variation. Like people are a little less likely to be creating new boy names.
Yeah.
Like yeah, people might do like Maverick or whatever, but like for the most part, you're sticking to stuff that like already exists.
Yeah. Okay, so next up is Mason, which I don't hate as a name, but I think with Mason Disick, like I'm just sort of.
To be honest, I do actually like the name Mason a lot.
Yeah.
I'll switch to Mason.
Okay, great.
I like it, but I'm staying at Ethan.
Okay, so Gigi's at Mason, I'm at Carter, you're at Ethan.
Yes.
Okay, great. Next up is Muhammad.
No.
Sorry. Next is Mateo, which I do think is a cute name.
I do like the name Mateo. I have a slightly bad association with the name.
Okay.
So I will stick with Mason.
I'm staying with Ethan.
I think I'm going to stay with Carter, but yeah, I'll stay with Carter. But I like Mateo.
Yeah, I like Mateo.
Next is Caden.
No.
Next is Oliver. I do like Oliver.
Oliver's great. The only thing is one of my good guy friends is named Oliver, so it's not that it's tainted, but it's like I already have an Oliver in my life.
Yeah.
You know, who knows by the time that I'm, getting ready to have a child, whether or not my friend Oliver will be in my life. But I do think it's a really nice name. It's a strong name. I like the O beginning. Yeah. I all around think it's a great name, but I do also think it's a name that a lot of people really like, which leads me to believe that it will become like a very popular name at some point in the near future, which I'm hesitant to go near,
Yeah, I think I will switch to Oliver. I think it's a very strong name.
It's a nice name. Oliver was in the running for Cameron's name, but I'm going to stay with Ethan, but I like it.
Okay, great. Next up, we have Lucas.
No.
Once again, that's our dad's name, so I just wouldn't.
Right.
But I do like it. I think it's a very powerful name, and I think it does transcend time very nicely. Lucas, like he could be any age, any time, any place.
Totally.
Grayson, I do kind of like that.
No, I don't like that.
I like it, but I'm not switching.
Next is Elijah.
No, I have
which
horrible
reminds me.
associations with that. I would never.
And next we have Aiden, which used to be my favorite boy name. I used to really, really like Aiden. Now I'm not a big fan.
I saw a TikTok of where are all the adult Aidens? Like,
yeah,
where did all the Aidens go?
Where did all the Aidens go? For real.
Which I kind of agree with. Like, I feel like I knew a lot of Aidens when I was a kid, and like I don't know a single Aiden right now.
Yeah.
But that's more just for jokes.
Yeah.
Next, I wouldn't switch to that.
Okay. Next up is Jackson.
No.
Okay.
It's fine.
I have a dilemma with this because I really like the name Jackson. I think it sounds really nice. I like the nicknames that come off of that, but it's so popular that I'm a little turned off by it. But honestly, just for like the sounds and the complexity of the name, I do really like the way it sounds, so I'll switch to Jackson.
Okay. Next up is Noah. I like Noah, but I don't love it.
I feel the same way.
I like Noah, but I don't love it.
Okay, great. Last but not least is Liam, which I do think I will switch to. I think Liam is a really good name, but I would never use it because it clearly is number one, and I think it will be for a while, and I just think it's a little bit basic.
I do think it's a very strong name. I like it a lot, but it's definitely, like we're saying, very popular and like a little too mainstream.
Yeah, I'm staying with Jackson. That is my winner.
Okay, so our favorite boy names of 2020 ended up being, what was yours?
Jackson,
Liam, and
Mason is what I wound up sticking with.
And our girl names were, what was mine?
Amelia, Mila, and I can't remember yours.
I already forgot.
No, I'm pretty sure
I think it was Charlotte.
I think it was Charlotte. Okay. So those are our favorite names of 2020. And I thought that was a fun game.
That was a fun game.
Totally. So now that we've had this lovely conversation about names, I think it is time for us to transition into our recommendations for this week. So the first recommendation that I have is a little unconventional because it is that I recommend you to not watch the Night Stalker miniseries on Netflix. Unless you want to have nightmares, then please have at it. I have not yet had any nightmares, but like I am scared all the time now. And I don't like living with that feeling. So I would highly recommend you to not watch it because it is scary and real life. So that much more scary.
Oh, I have a recommendation.
Yes.
Okay. I got my nails done yesterday and I wanted to do something fun. So for anyone watching on YouTube, you can see I got colored French tip, which sounds like very tacky and disgusting, but I am so obsessed with them and I keep looking at them and they make me happy. So if anyone wants to do a fun nail thing.
And I'm curious, Lily, does it have color on the like base of it?
Yeah, it's like a
nude color.
Yeah, like you can see my nail. We can see the little white parts of my nail, but it was like a like cloudy clear. Yes, like of a clouded light pink clear color. And then you could do like any color on the tip. And I just think that it's a fun way to spice up your life.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I'm currently rocking 2 slightly different colors on each of my hands, which I really enjoy. I also recently had like 5 different colors going on in sort of like an ombre from dark to light, which I really, really enjoyed. So yeah, I think that was a great recommendation to get a little fun and funky with the nail art.
Well, thank you for listening to Sophomore Citizens, the podcast by young people for young people, with new episodes every Monday-ish. So be sure to give us a listen on YouTube and check us out on Instagram, TikTok. Give us an email at sophomorecitizens@gmail.com. And please be sure to leave a 5-star review.